I am about to tell you something that will likely make you angry because the reason you are not rich has nothing to do with your salary or the economy. It actually has everything to do with 7 specific habits that you are either doing or not doing right now. And here is the part that will really upset you. I am going to give you these 7 habits for free in the next few minutes. And statistically, 97% of you watching this will simply ignore every single one. You will nod your head and think that makes sense, and then you will go right back to doing exactly what you have been doing to stay where you are. I am 94 years old and have accumulated more wealth than most people see in 10 lifetimes, and I did it starting with absolutely nothing, no inheritance and no trust. I had no rich parents to help me. Just these 7 habits applied consistently over 70 years, proving the difference between me and you isn't intelligence or simple luck. It is what I am about to share with you right now. So here is my challenge for you to prove me wrong and not be part of that majority. Actually do what I am about to tell you, because if you do, your life will change. But if you don't, come back to this video in 5 years' time. You will watch it again from the exact same financial position you are in right now. So let us begin immediately with the first habit that changes everything for you. Habit number 1 is that you must pay yourself first, not last, which is the critical mistake that most poor people make when they receive their monthly paycheck from work. They get their paycheck and immediately pay their rent, their car payment, their credit cards, and subscriptions. Then they buy groceries and go out to eat a few times. And then, if there is anything left over at the end of the month, maybe they save it, but spoiler alert, there is never anything left over for them. Here is what rich people do differently. The moment money hits their account, before they pay a single bill, they take 20 to 30% off the top and invest it. They do not save it in a checking account or save it for a vacation or a new television. They invest it in assets that will grow and compound. You are probably thinking that you cannot afford to invest 20% because you are barely making it as is. But that is exactly the mentality that keeps you broke. You simply cannot afford not to pay yourself first, because if you are living paycheck to paycheck on 100% of your income, you will survive on 80%. You will just adjust because humans are incredibly adaptable when we have to be, just like when I was 25 years old and made a difficult financial decision. 25% of every single dollar I earned went straight into investments before I ever saw it. And while it was hard, I absolutely made it work for me. I had to live in a smaller apartment and drive an older car, and I had to say no to things my friends were doing all the time back then. But here is what happened. That money I invested at 25 grew and compounded for 70 years, and that single habit created more wealth than anything else I ever did. Start today, not next month or when you get a raise. But right now, even if you can only manage a small percentage. If 20% feels impossible, take 5%, but just start and automate it so you never actually see that money. It must go straight from your paycheck into an investment account, and then you must completely forget that it is even there. Habit number 2 is to live on less than you earn, no matter how much you earn, which separates the wealthy from the broke. It does not matter if you make $50,000 a year or $5 million a year. If you spend everything you make, you fail. You will never build wealth if your outflow matches your inflow. And I have watched people make enormous incomes and end up bankrupt. They failed because they scaled their lifestyle to match their income. buying bigger houses, fancier cars, expensive vacations, and designer clothes. The moment their high income drops or disappears, they collapse immediately because they have no margin of safety in their financial life. The formula is simple. Income minus expenses equals your wealth building capacity. And if expenses equal income, your capacity is zero. It genuinely does not matter what you earn, because I know people making $200,000 a year who have nothing saved. And conversely, I know people making $40,000 a year who are millionaires because they mastered the gap between earning and spending. Here is a secret nobody wants to hear. You do not need most of the things you are buying. You just want them. There is a massive difference between need and want. Take that new iPhone. You do not need it. Your current one works fine. That subscription service you forgot you have, you don't need it. And that daily coffee shop visit, you also don't need it. That upgraded car is another thing you do not need. And I am not telling you that you have to live like a monk. I am simply telling you to be intentional, because every dollar you spend is a dollar that can't compound and grow for you. Every unnecessary expense is stealing from your future wealthy self, so you must get ruthless about tracking every expense for 1 month. You will be shocked at where your money actually goes. Then cut everything that doesn't truly add value to your life immediately. Habit number 3 is to make your money work harder than you work, because poor people trade their time for money. They work 40, 50, or 60 hours a week, and when they stop working, the money stops coming in instantly. Rich people build systems where money makes money while they sleep, which is the only way to actually get rich. You cannot work your way to wealth. You can only invest your way to wealth. So let me give you the math. If you save $1,000 a month in a checking account for 30 years, you will have $360,000. That is not bad. But if you invest that same $1,000 a month in an index fund averaging 10% returns, after 30 years, you will have over $2 million, which is the same effort but a completely different result. That is the power of putting your money to work, because there are only 168 hours in a week. You can only work so many of those hours, but money can work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It never gets tired, and the moment you understand this concept, everything changes about how you view your daily labor. Your goal is not to make more money from your job. Your goal is to convert the money you make into assets. Real estate that generates rental income, dividend-paying stocks, and businesses that run without you are the vehicles that build wealth. Stop thinking about your salary as your income and start thinking about your investment returns as your only true income. Habit number 4 is to delay gratification like your life depends on it, which is the hardest habit for modern people. We live in an instant gratification world where you want something, click a button, and it shows up at your door tomorrow. You are bored, so you pull out your phone for instant entertainment, or you are hungry, so you order food immediately. We have lost the ability to wait, and that inability to wait is single-handedly destroying your financial future right now. You have probably heard of the marshmallow test, where they put a kid in a room with one single marshmallow. They tell them if they can wait 15 minutes without eating it, they will get 2 marshmallows as a reward. Then they tracked those kids for decades and found the kids who could delay gratification ended up wealthier and happier. One simple measure of self-control predicted their entire lives, yet every time you buy something you cannot afford, you fail. You are choosing the one marshmallow every time you finance something or go into debt for something that isn't generating income. I have personally delayed gratification my entire life, driving the same car for 15 years when I could have bought new. I did this because the difference in cost invested turned into millions of dollars over time instead of rusting in a driveway. I lived in a modest house for decades when I could have bought a mansion, and that money went into investments instead. Now I have more wealth than I could spend in 5 lifetimes because I followed a simple rule regarding my purchases. If you cannot buy it twice, you cannot afford it once, and if it is not an asset, do not buy it. Habit number 5 is to invest in assets, not liabilities. And most people, unfortunately, do not know the difference between them. They think their car is an asset, but it is not. It is a liability that loses value the moment you drive. It costs you money every month in payments, insurance, gas, and maintenance, just like a house you live in is a liability. Your home costs you money every month and doesn't put money in your pocket, unlike a true asset which generates cash flow. A rental property that generates cash flow, stocks that pay dividends, or a business that generates profit are actual assets. Rich people buy assets first, while poor people buy liabilities first, and call them assets, destroying their wealth-building potential. Every dollar you spend on a liability is a dollar you can't invest in an asset that would grow for you. Take a $40,000 car if you invested that money instead and it grew at 10% per year. In 30 years, it would be worth almost $700,000, meaning you traded a fortune for a temporary vehicle. Before you buy anything, ask yourself if this is putting money in your pocket or taking money out of your pocket. Habit number 6 is to continuously educate yourself about money because the education system has completely failed you in this regard. You spent 12 years in school, maybe more, and nobody taught you the most important subject, how money actually works. They did not teach you how compound interest works, how investing works, how taxes work, or how to build real wealth. They taught you algebra and history and literature, but they never taught you how to be financially successful in the real world. So you have to teach yourself by reading books, not fiction or social media, but books about investing and personal finance. Warren Buffett reads 5 hours a day, and Charlie Munger read constantly, proving that knowledge compounds just like money. The reason most people are broke is simply because they are financially illiterate and make terrible decisions with money. Commit to reading just one book about money every month, and in 5 years you will know more than everyone. Habit number 7 is to think long-term and act long-term, which is the ultimate habit that ties everything. Poor people ask what they can afford today, while rich people filter every decision through a 30-year time horizon. Short-term thinking says, buy the new phone, but long-term thinking says, invest that money for 10 times returns. I made every major financial decision in my life with a 30-year plan, never touching savings intended for my future. The 8th wonder of the world is compound interest, but you must understand that compound interest absolutely requires significant time. If you invest $10,000 at age 25, you will have $450,000 at age 65. But if you wait until 35 to invest that same amount, you will only have $174,000. That 10-year delay cost you nearly $300,000, proving that time is actually your greatest financial asset. After 94 years on this planet, I know these 7 habits work for every wealthy person I have ever known. But most of you will watch this, agree with me, and then go buy something you do not actually need. The habits are simple. Pay yourself first, live below your means, make money work, delay gratification, and buy assets. Do these things consistently for decades and you will be wealthy. But you have to start right now today. Automate your investments immediately. Cut one unnecessary expense, buy one book, and make one decision with a long-term mindset. You can be part of the 97% who ignore this and stay exactly where you are right now. Or you can be part of the 3% who actually do something about it and change their financial future. I have given you the map and the tools. Now you have to actually stand up and walk the path. What are you going to do with this information starting right now? Settle for mediocrity or build your fortune?